Turn to page 139 for stage 1 of narrative writing. As you can see on this page, there is a visual and just a couple of words. That's a simple chant in order to introduce this stage because it's a pretty simple stage. And all you're going to do is say to the kids, boys and girls, we're going to learn how to write a story. And today we're going to learn how to write a story opening. Let's put our hands together just like we're holding a book and we're going to open it up and say story opening. What are we going to learn how to write today? A story opening. Now let's follow the steps so that we can write our own story opening. We're going to follow these steps to write our story opening. Today, we're going to write the same story opening so that we can learn the steps. Let's put our hands together and go like this. If I learn the steps, then I can write my own story opening. So we're going to learn the steps together so we can write a story opening. But eventually, when you know the steps, what can you do? Write your own story opening. Let's work hard at learning these steps then. When I turn to the next page, 140, you will see an at-a-glance sheet. These are the specific steps that you're following. This is the teacher page. This is the page that you can hold on to so that you don't have to turn a bunch of pages. You can just look at this page for each one of your direct instruction steps that you are following to teach kids how to write a story opening. If you look on page 141, this is a wall chart that you can display for students to follow. Now, right above that is a box. These are descriptors. These are the descriptors of the exact skills that you will be learning at stage 1 so that you can see how they align to your standards. You'll see what will my students be learning in content and organization. At the sentence level, what will they be learning? And what mechanics will they be learning? So all the skills for every stage will be outlined in each one of these stages as well. Notice on the wall, I have a narrative writing stage 1 chart where I have all the steps displayed so students can follow during instruction. This can be made by hand where you can just write it out on sentence strips and draw the pictures. You could put it together by going on a computer and printing it out. It really doesn't matter. I'm showing you an example of one way that you could do it. The big thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have these steps displayed so that children can follow. And it's always nice to have the visuals next to it so they also have that as a visual reminder. Notice the story opening. I have color-coded green because when we learn other parts of a story, we're going to have other colors. So you want to make sure that you have the color coding for the different parts of the story. Also on page 141, you're going to see a kinder and a first grade plan, which is just right here on this page for the kinder and right here for the first grade, and then their writing. Notice their writing. For first grade, this plan just shows a picture where they write out the words because this is showing small group writing. They're not actually building an organizer. They're following the steps, but they're not building an organizer. Remember, kindergarten teachers, you will be doing organizers in your teacher write and interactive writing. It's just small group writing with kinders. It's not appropriate for them to draw organizers, but you'll still use these same steps. First grade, the students will get a piece of paper. Let's look at how this paper would look. All you need is lined paper and a box on the top. This is your pretty typical paper that you would see at the primary grade level. I suggest, first grade teachers, that you fold the top of the page so that box has a fold down the middle. It'll be much easier when the students do this lesson. Remember, you can put 32 pages or whatever the number of students that you have in your room together, fold the middle so that you can pass this out to each student and they immediately have this line down in the middle for easy implementation of your lesson. Now that I've outlined what's in stage 1, story opening your chant, notice here on page 140, these are the teacher steps that you follow. On page 141, the descriptors, so that you know specifically what skills you will be teaching, as well as a visual of the chart the students would follow. And then you have the plan of the students and then their writing, so that you actually can see what would the plan look like and their writing after this instruction. In order to follow these steps and for you to learn this, I'm going to walk you through a lesson. What you'll need to do is you'll need that blank piece of paper with the folded part of the page. And we will use page 140, your Teacher at a Glance page, so you get used to reading this page in order to walk through the lesson. Let's go ahead and do this. Write a story opening. Let's look at our first step. Step 1, get organized. Now I'm going to tell the students to go to the fold in their paper and draw a line down that fold. So now you have 2 equal boxes. These 2 equal boxes are what we're going to use to help plan our story opening. Let's figure out what we need to put in them. Step 2, character. Who's in our story? A person, an animal, or I am? So now we have to decide who's going to be in our story, a person, an animal, or I am. If students have a tough time trying to figure out what character they want in their story, you could go to the flip charts that I had shown you earlier, and you could have them flip through. Maybe they'll see a person, a police officer, a surfer. And there's many different pictures that I have. If it was an animal, a horse, a turtle, they could go through and they could flip through to get some other ideas if they can't think of one. As we do these lessons, at first, everyone's going to have the same story until they know the steps. Let's say that we said, who's in our story? A person or an animal, or I am, and I had all the kids talk to each other. I chose somebody's name, and they said a rabbit. So then we go, okay, we're going to write about a rabbit. And everybody, we're going to draw a rabbit in our box here. So this is our character box. Who are we writing about? Look how I'm drawing a quick picture of a rabbit. You do that. And I make a big deal about how it's a fast sketch. Let's go back and let's practice our story. Put your hands up like this, like it's bunny ears, and we're going to act out our sentence as we say it. So when we orally rehearse this, we're saying it how we're going to write it. So we put our hands up and we go, the bunny. All right, let's go to step 3 now. Setting. When and where does this story take place? So now I have to figure out, and I'm going to put my when and where drawings in this first box. So we have to figure out when. When students are figuring out the when, as students are coming up with a when and where for their setting, if they don't have any ideas, then again, you could go through and you could go to your flip books for the when. So we have like a windy day, long ago, on a sunny day. There's many different pictures there for whens. And you have the where flip charts too, if they can't come up with a setting for where the story takes place. In the ocean, or in a lake, in a pond, in the desert, and of course there's many more. So you would flip through and they would decide. Just a quick background about the when. When can be time, like late at night, long ago, early this morning. When in our setting could also be weather, on a rainy day, on a windy day, on a blustery day, a snowy day. When could be a season, winter, spring, summer, fall. So those are all the different categories you could go to try to retrieve a when for our setting. Where is always the big setting. Down at the field, at the park, in the ocean, in the mountains. It's the big setting. You wouldn't say on a rock. You wouldn't say that. You would only say the big setting. Let's have us say when is the story happening and where. We have the students talk to each other. I may use some of the flip cards if I need to help the students come up with ideas. I pick a stick, the equity sticks, where each stick has a student's name on it. So you just pick a stick so you're not giving any child preference. And then that child is going to give their idea. So let's say the child said on a rainy day. So then we all go to our box and we're going to put some rain there. And then we need our where. Where is the bunny? And the bunny is out in a grassy field. So now we have our grassy field. So now we have our setting. We're not going to use the setting at the beginning of our sentence. We're not going to say on a rainy day out on a grassy field, because this is stage 1 writing, and those would be prepositional phrases, which would be very complex for students to write at this stage 1 level. They're just learning how to write a complete sentence. They're at that one sentence simple level. We are putting our setting there because they need something in order to figure out the action, which is going to be in the second box. So the setting helps them come up with an action.